Americans an alternative to American religiosity and to what the welfare state's supporters depict as cutthroat, heartless American free market capitalism. But some 50 to 60 years later, it is clear that this state is economically, and as you will hear in this audio program, morally unsustainable. Of the two democratic models, the European and the American, only the American one works and can endure. And the beauty of it, as far as non-Americans are concerned, is that it does not demand that any group give up its national or religious culture, except insofar as the culture holds values in conflict with the American value system. On the contrary, Americanism, as this value system is called, wants all peoples to retain their national culture and allegiances. A word about the way arguments are formulated here. I make a generalization and then support it with one or more examples. To those listeners who object to generalizations, I respond. First, there is no wisdom without generalizations. Generalizations are what enable us to make sense of the world. If one cannot generalize, one cannot see patterns, and therefore one cannot make sense of reality. Seatbelts save lives is a generalization. Now, everyone knows that sometimes seatbelts actually cause the death of a driver or passenger. Does that invalidate the generalization? Of course not. The existence of exceptions does not invalidate a generalization. Moreover, if we could not make this particular generalization, many people would die needlessly. Therefore, the objection to a person making a generalization cannot be, "You're generalizing," as if doing so is inherently wrong. The only valid objection to a generalization is, "Your generalization is untrue." For that reason, I always offer examples to illustrate the generalization. One major goal of this book is to present as thorough a dissection of leftism as has been written. There are many brilliant works on aspects of the left, and I have greatly benefited from many of them. But what we need most, and if I did not believe this was needed, I would not have devoted so much time to writing this book, is an overall explanation of the inherent moral and intellectual defects of leftism, along with an explanation of why so many people believe in it despite its terrible track record. Still, the best hope is the product of a lifetime's thought and study. I began formal study of the left while in graduate school at the Russian Institute of Columbia University's School of International Affairs, and have never stopped. As I repeatedly make clear, I almost never judge the motives or the character of people with left-wing views. I do not for many reasons, but chief among them is that I know personally many people in my extended family and among friends and acquaintances who hold those views and whom I adore. The family is a great institution for many obvious reasons. Here is a less obvious one. It teaches us how to love people with whom we may have major disagreements. It's easy to love friends. We choose them. It's not always as easy to love family members with whom one strongly differs on some of the most important issues of life. One of the worst features of the left is its assumption that those on the right are bad people. It is not a view I reciprocate. Indeed, my understanding that so many people with left-wing views mean well is what enables me to analyze the left as thoroughly as I do. After all, if everyone you differ with is bad, there's nothing to analyze. You just label them bad and move on. While on the subject of leftism, two other issues need to be addressed. One is the use of the words liberal and left. They are used more or less interchangeably. The reason is implicitly explained, but I need to address it explicitly. There was a difference between liberals and the left for many decades. In the United States, the distinction ended after the Vietnam War. The John F. Kennedy-type liberal, anti-communist, in favor of using American power to spread liberty and for lower taxes to stimulate economic growth, essentially died with his assassination on November 22, 1963. When the New York Times began identifying The Nation among the most left-wing journals published in America as liberal, that exemplified the left-wing takeover of the term liberal.